Okay, guys. Back here again. So, yeah, things just lined up to where man. I know the Lord wants me to get this out cuz things have been it's been hard to get. Well, there's been just some things that happened where like I didn't have enough storage for my phone for the video or not and couldn't get through it all and be like, "Oh no." So, um so I know this one needs to go out. So this is the Lord's word stands, Psalm 112. And I know I need to get this one out because there's been just stuff happened as I tried to record this earlier. So Lord help us to record this. Psalm 112. And then also the end I'm gonna talk through also Proverbs 22:17 through 21, as I thought that this related to what the Lord wanted me to speak about. Um, yes, Psalm 112. Praise the Lord. Blessed is the man who fears the Lord, who delights greatly in his commandments. His descendants will be mighty on the earth. The generation of the upright will be blessed. Wealth and riches are in his house, and his righteousness endures forever. Light arises in the darkness for the upright. He is gracious and compassionate and righteous. It is well with the man who is gracious and lends. His conduct he conducts his affairs with justice. He will never be shaken. The righteous will be remembered forever. He will not fear bad news. His heart is steadfast, trusting in the Lord. His heart is upheld. He will not fear while he looks on his adversaries. He has given freely to the poor. His righteousness endures forever. His horn will be exalted in honor. The wicked will see it and be angered. He will gnash his teeth and melt away. The desire of the wicked will perish and come to nothing. Um, so kind of as this message goes, it kind of goes a lot like some of my other ones. This is related similarly to things that happen in my own life, and I think the Lord wants me to speak on. I believe and feel called to speak on. And I have some things I wrote down that I think the Lord specifically wants me to speak on. So, first thing here is like as a man or individual seeks after the Lord, um, He will give conviction for them to follow. And I do find in my own life, specifically what the Lord wanted me to talk about today was like um some of like the spiritual struggle and pressure with kind of like these outside influences, but like some of you wind up in like situations or in your relationship with the Lord, there is a specific area where when you are not mindful of the Lord and you're doing things, there are some like really spiritual attacks that happen, and it seems to be always when things line up at once, especially in the distractions, and like it just knocks you down. I know for me, spiritual wise, it's kind of been a struggle. But specifically, what I wrote here, there are specific areas where there is an outside influence, where the Lord is working on you. And sometimes that manifests in things that happen in the real world, which they do. Um, that always stems from things that the Lord is wanting to do within you spiritually. Um, and for me, kind of one of the struggles of something that I deal with is a really it's a spiritual influence of something that the Lord has been working with me for a while and delivering. But in that deliverance and the amount of length of time that it's been taking, it has definitely strengthened me. But really, what will happen is in times where I am distracted and I've had a kind of a rough day, but really you're not mindful, you're not sitting and in your being of dwelling in a state of being in the Lord's presence, and um you're not like really not meditating upon that as you go through your day as strongly as you should. um these distractions will come up, and for me, and this manifests in different ways for different people, but it usually will be something of like um really for me it's either an accusation against the Lord's like anointed. Sometimes it's a prideful like accusation, Um, Sometimes it is an exact accusation against the Lord's anointed, or sometimes it's an attack against the very core of faith itself, of believing in who Jesus was and what he did on the cross, and just like is from an outside influence. So basically, um it'll just be a time, as an example. So um it, I felt that outside pressure influence, especially, and this is where the Lord was actually strengthening me. But like, for example, in church there was like a young child playing and messing around, and I felt that outside influence like coming in looking for an area of weakness. And I felt this a few times. But this child was playing around, and it was a loud with a car, and it was a loud distraction. But the Lord allowed me in that situation to like lay down that sort of like um attack sort of weakness, and like just focus on the Lord and allow love to flow through, and just sit and listen to the message in church. Another time, as an example, like recently, like today actually, I've been having a kind of tough day, and like I was just sitting there, trying to go through the Lord's word, and then my dogs are being a big distraction because they're wanting to play fetch. Ooh, tractor. They were wanting to play fetch, and for some reason, like them wanting to play fetch, like I was just really annoyed and distracted, and just not quite feeling it. And there was just like an absolute accusation against like my core faith and belief in the Lord and what the Lord wants to do for my life and what the Lord, did on the cross and whatnot. And it was just like this accusation from an outside source, but because like I was, it's like about what you entertain, or it's your choice and engagement. Like it was, it just knocks you down in how you feel in your relationship with the Lord. But despite all that, one thing the Lord has taught me is it is about choice. And so we're gonna kind of get into that here, going through the rest of Psalm 112. So Psalm 112, 2 through 6. So 2, his descendants will be mighty on the earth, or will be mighty on earth. The generation of the upright will be blessed. Wealth and riches are in his house, and his righteousness endures forever. Light arises in the darkness for the upright. He is gracious and compassionate and righteous. It is well with the man who is gracious and lends. He conducts his affairs with justice. He will never be shaken. The righteous will be remembered forever. And so kind of like in that moment where for me, where it feels like, like I've really messed up and like feel the Lord's presence, like really diminished, or like I've grieved like the Lord, and it's hard to get that closeness. It's about choice. And like I've noticed, and what the Lord kind of has for me to tell you here is like in that struggle that you're going through, and those times when you like slip up, like the Lord will bless you because you are fighting to walk upright. And it is your choice, even in that moment where you feel like you've messed up, to walk upright, because you still fear and believe in him. In verse 4 here it says, Psalm 112:4, it says, light arises in the darkness for the upright. Because you are choosing wanting to walk in that uprightness. So when you are in despair, the Lord will have light arise. And then Psalm 112, 7-8. So the Lord is kind of speaking more into that. 7-9. So it says, he will not fear bad news. His heart is steadfast, trusting in the Lord. His heart is upheld. He will not fear. While he looks on his adversaries, he has given freely to the poor. His righteousness endures forever. His horn will be exalted in honor. So the Lord is creating a steadfastness in us, of his spiritness, and a pillar of his nature. And so kind of in that, it's kind of what it says there, 7-9. So the Lord is creating in us his nature. Verse 8 here, it says, it says, his heart is upheld, he will not fear while he looks on his adversaries. So one thing the Lord has been doing recently is kind of for me in that steadfastness, even when these outside influences are trying to insert, get you to engage with them in, people call it negative patterns. Really, I believe it's spiritual in nature. They're wanting you to engage with that, and you have a choice to do that, but the Lord's continuing to bring you through. And like 8b, so the second half of 8 there, it says, well, he looks on his adversaries. Like, we got to understand, despite all those things that we're struggling with other people in this world, like, all of those problems have to do with an adversary that is not those individuals. And I know there has been times in my life where I've had to look, and this will go more at some point when I get into my testimony, of really looking spiritual things face to face in the eye. So just, and the Lord allowing me to see, exactly what those are. And then Psalm 112, so 10. So it says, the angered will see it and be angered. Or the wicked will be see it and be angered. He will gnash his teeth and melt away. The desire of the wicked will perish and come to nothing. So this, again, has to do, like, it's a little bit of a dichotomy there in the whole verse section, but it has to do with where is your heart and your choice and willingness in following and seeking the Lord. I'm kind of getting onto this message is Proverbs 22, 17 through 21. So 17 through 21, it says, listen carefully and hear the words of the wise. Apply your mind to my knowledge, for it will be pleasant if you keep them in mind. Let them be ready on your lips, so that your trust and reliance and confidence may be in your Lord. I have taught you these things today, even to you. Have I not written to you excellent things in counsels and knowledge, to let you know the certainty of the words of truth, that you may give a correct answer to him who sent you? Like, the whole purpose of our struggle in our shortcomings with the Lord and some of the spiritual battles that some of you guys are going through is to be ready to be an image of Christ in those who we are sent to talk to. I mean, those areas where the Lord has a specific purpose for our lives. And of course, all of that going down to being 21b, or we'll just do Proverbs 22:21, to let you know the certainty of the words of truth. So throughout all of your, or specifically my wanderings, I'm certain this applies to other people's lives and the struggles that I go through. It's to let us know the certainty of the words of truth, that we may give a correct answer to him who sent us. We know who sent us. The Lord sent us. And in our situations, like, he loved us so much that he is performing these things in our lives. He's allowing these things to happen in our lives so that we will be able to give a correct answer to the Father on all things that we have done according to his purpose and will. And so in your struggle, understand that those things you're going through are in and for the Lord's purpose, and that you are chosen for that purpose. That's the reason why you're going through all of that. And kind of to wrap it up, on those things that the Lord has been having you go through, and he's bringing you to a spot of somewhere, and some of you know exactly that spot he's bringing you to. Some of you know promises that he has continued to remind you about, and maybe it doesn't quite look like it, but the Lord's word stands.